Welcome to trigonometry with right triangles. This will take a little bit of work and getting used to, especially when you are working on your own. But once you get the ratios figured out, sine, cosine, and tangent with right triangles is something you'll be able to do forever. Now, what's really key about this is that we have to have a right triangle. Once you know where that right angle is, it's really easy to determine where the hypotenuse is. In fact, I always recommend when we're doing this to figure out where your hypotenuse is, because it takes it out of the game where we're trying to decide which side is opposite and which side is adjacent. And that can get tricky because this guy right here, this is a new variable to you. This is theta. Okay, it's just like solving for x. So don't let that new symbol freak you out. Theta. In fact, I think sometimes your homework will have an x instead of theta, but you need to get comfortable with that because it shows up all the time in trigonometry. Now, the angle that we're looking for is sometimes here, or it might jump up and be in this other corner. And depending on which one it's in, determines what side is adjacent and what side is opposite. Adjacent means next to, right? Next to. Opposite means across from. So depending on where theta, your angle is, you can determine what side is next to or what side is across from. And it is never, ever, ever the hypotenuse. And that's why we took time and we labeled it first. So in this case, the side next to our angle theta that is adjacent is right there. In fact, it shares a ray from the angle, a vector. And then the side that is across from theta is our opposite side. Sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine, cosine, and tangent. These are all simply proportions written in fraction form of our sides. After I finish this video, I'll do a short one showing you some of how your homework is going to work today. We don't call this sin. It is sine, short for sine. This isn't cos, it's cosine. And this isn't tan, it is tangent. Sine, cosine, tangent. And this little mnemonic tool right here helps you determine what sides we use for which trig function. Sine, let me grab a different marker here. Sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So, cosine is the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. TOA, tangent, is the opposite side over the adjacent side. Maybe I'll take just a couple minutes and show you what I mean. And then you can look for homework examples in the other. So what's going to happen is you're going to have, and this is an impossible triangle, but that's okay. You're going to have a triangle, and it will give you an angle, and it will say, find the sine of theta. What does it equal? How about the cosine of theta and the tangent of theta? It wants to know all three of those. And so remember I said the first thing I want you to do is figure out where the hypotenuse, and call it the hypotenuse so it's no longer in question. Here's my right angle. Here is my hypotenuse. And now here is theta. What side is next to it or adjacent to it? That would be the 7. There's adjacent. And the side that is across from it is the opposite. And now I'm going to remind myself that we're going to do SOH CAH TOA. SOH CAH TOA. Sine says it is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So the opposite side was 10. My hypotenuse is 15. We can go ahead and reduce that to 2/3. Cosine. Cosine starts with a C, adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent was 7. The hypotenuse is 15. The tangent of theta. Opposite over adjacent. Let's see, that would be 10 over 7. Today's homework will have you setting up those ratios, and we will learn how to solve for angles and sets at a later lesson.